And welcome back. For our second conversation this morning, we have been joined by Dr. Ivan De Paz Mejia. He's an internist specialist. Good morning,
Good
Doc.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you
And
for
we're
having me.
discussing dengue. So there seems to be an outbreak of dengue this time of year. It's the rainy season. And a lot of people have either been coming down with dengue or malaria or one of those mosquito-borne illnesses. But for the purpose of our conversation this morning, we're focusing on dengue. Let's begin by talking about the different forms of dengue that one can contract.
Yes, as you mentioned, dengue is a mosquito-borne infection, and the latest classification that they have given us, it talks about three specific types of dengue: dengue without warning signs, dengue with warning signs, and dengue that is severe, that it could either be dengue hemorrhagic or dengue shock syndrome.
How are you defining these three types of dengue? Different symptoms? How do you know?
The most common one is the dengue without warning signs. It's the usual dengue fever that it's, as the name says, it has fever, headache, loss of appetite, weakness, and body aches. That's why they call it the breakbone fever.
Yeah.
And it's usually a disease that goes without complications, and we don't really have a specific antiviral for it. It's just a matter of supporting the process and the patient until the patient recovers by itself.
And how long is that period of time?
Well, it has three phases: the febrile phase, followed by the critical phase, and lastly the recovery phase.
So I've had dengue before, and I know that there is no cure, there is no treatment per se. You just kind of have to
Go through
ride out the symptoms. Maybe you take a Tylenol for the fever or something like that. But it is really, really painful. But I still can't tell you how I catch dengue. How does
Mosquito bit you?
yeah, but is it like a particular mosquito? What is it that happens before you even get to that stage of fever and chills?
Yeah, it's amazing that we have so many things in our table. We have so many activities going for the day, and sometimes if we don't pay attention to detail, that's when things can happen. Of course, you are not aware of a mosquito. This disease is caused by the Aedes mosquito, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and they are usually daytime feeders. They bite you during the daytime or at sunset.
Yeah.
This is when we are out. So it's completely understandable that you are not even aware of how you got the dengue, because you are busy doing other things. And they will usually bite you in the areas that you have exposed that are having no clothing. But as you rightfully said, we are in dengue season, so it begins with awareness, understanding that we are transitioning from an outbreak of influenza to an outbreak of dengue. We just have to change the mentality and the practices that we go on a daily
But here's the
basis.
thing, Doc, right? There's this public awareness campaign that's virtually year-round, where we're being told you can't have bodies of water unattended, like in containers or any kind of
Tires,
receptacles, right? You have a spare tire in your yard, it fills up with water. You know, that's breeding ground for mosquitoes, right? So that's where the actual awareness begins from. You have to be able to get rid of any stagnant water from your property or what have you. But you find a lot of times that people don't really adhere to that. And then they wonder, you know, why so
Why?
much mosquitoes or that sort of thing.
Yeah, it takes multiple stakeholders. We can't leave this completely to the Ministry of Health or the healthcare providers. We have to take action in the prevention and assisting the society into controlling a disease that it's growing in frequency and in cases as the years go by. I remember when I was a medical student, and we would see the cases of dengue. and it didn't touch us until one of our colleagues was in the ICU with dengue.
Yeah.
See, that was going to be my next question, because while we kind of sort of think of it as this nonchalant disease, there is no prevention in terms of like a vaccine or anything like that, but it can be severe, right? Can people die from dengue?
Well, thankfully, medicine is advancing and the knowledge of the disease is advancing. So, under the right circumstances, the right follow-up, the right management, the mortality is very low. Unfortunately, that's in the books. In real life, sometimes most of us, we try to fix the problem at home. We try to do our natural remedies. And we follow guidance that it's common. And it's only when things are going out of control that we decide to seek medical care. And sometimes we arrive late to the healthcare facility. So one of the important things to do is be aware of what you are going through and get the right diagnosis. The right diagnosis will lead you to the right treatment, even if you don't like the right treatment. Even if you are sent to be hospitalized. Nobody wants to be hospitalized. I always tell my patients, I do understand that you don't want to get hospitalized, but unfortunately for the label that we are giving you, you require hospitalization for IV hydration and continuous follow-up. And that's what we need to act as a society, so we make sure we raise awareness of this condition.
Talk to me about dengue hemorrhagic fever, the severity of it, and perhaps what are some of the symptoms of this extreme dengue?
Luckily for us, it's not common. It's 5% of the total dengue cases can progress to dengue hemorrhagic fever, and the symptoms will begin with the warning signs of dengue, which are abdominal pain, vomiting, weakness, abnormal blood markers in your blood tests, like low platelets or rising hematocrit. These will be the ones telling you that you have to take action to prevent you progressing from the dengue hemorrhagic fever, which, as the name underscores, is characterized by abnormal bleeding. It could be in the nose, in the gums, it could be in the menstrual period, or it could be you vomiting blood or passing blood in the stool.
Wow.
So we are, as a part of your education awareness campaign, you did bring a PowerPoint to present to our viewers.
Well, I brought some slides.
Just so that we can talk about it. And right now we have on screen, it's the
that's the famous mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, which is, most of the cases are caused by the Aedes aegypti, which is the vector that public health tries to eliminate.
Yeah.
We do have other cases of dengue given by the Aedes albopticus. Luckily for us, these are milder cases. This mosquito is prevalent in the tropical zones. It's not only exclusive for dengue. We can have also yellow fever with it. We can have chikungunya. We can have Zika. So,
okay.
I was watching a statistic fairly recently where they're looking at various animals and various illnesses that come from animals that are deadly, and the mosquito is the number one in this case insect, right, that kills more people than, for instance, shark attacks or alligator bites or that sort of stuff.
All of these diseases.
All of these, diseases, as April mentioned. In your capacity as a medical doctor, how do you look at vector control and perhaps what the public health department is doing to be able to address the issue of mosquitoes in and about the place?
Luckily, in Belize, the vector control unit is very passionate about the work that they do. You can always see the trucks of the Ministry of Health fumigating the streets.
In the morning, before dawn? And in the evening,
And in
just
the
before
evening.
nightfall, right?
They always
Yes.
communicate.
So they are available whenever you have a question. You can contact the Bedcode Control Unit, and they will come and do an area inspection if you have an area that needs to be worked. They are also taking control of the lots that need to be taken care of, clean or properly disposed garbage. So I think for the capacity that they are trying to do their best effort, but we have to remember that that's a multidisciplinary approach to a condition like this. We have a role. It's very important to involve other areas of society like businesses, like tourism board, like schools, Ministry of Education, to be able to add curriculum of dengue in the schools. So from we are kids, we are being educated about this disease. So whenever we face a problem like this, we can act fast.
I wanted to go back to you explaining some of the symptoms that we can experience while having dengue. Is it the same for kids? Do kids have the same exact symptoms as adults would when they are suffering from dengue?
Well, that's why I admire a lot the work of the pediatricians, because in this area of medicine, you don't really communicate with the patient. The younger the kid, the less history that you can take, and you have to rely only on your physical findings and the communication that you can have with the parents. So your medical or your clinical skill need to be very developed for you to be able to pick up a case like this of dengue, because you will only have irritation, crying, the child is not feeding properly, is having fever. It could be so many things. It could be an ear infection, it could be a respiratory infection, it could be a urinary tract infection, it could be. So in regards to manifestations, I think it's easier to diagnose a case in an adult. Because you obviously have the time to interview the patient and to do your physical examination. It is a little bit more challenging in kids as well, because they belong to one of the high-risk groups of complicated dengue infections, so they are easier to get more sick and to have adverse outcomes. So for you to be dealing with a kid with possible dengue, you need to make sure you take your time to assess the case and to give the parents appropriate health education and management a close follow-up.
I think that for our for our viewers that might be watching and might think, well, if I have dengue and I survived it, it was the non symptomatic one, but if I get the severe one, is it worse for me? What are my chances?
After a primary infection of dengue, you will gain lifelong immunity to that specific virus. We have four types of dengue: dengue 1, dengue 2, dengue 3, and dengue 4 virus. So if you pass the primary infection, you will gain lifelong immunity. So we can only have dengue 4 times in our lives.
Okay.
But the second one, it can progress to a more severe form of dengue.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That if you catch it a second time around,
Might
it's
be pretty
worse
bad.
than the first
Yeah.
one or what have you.
Yes, and the problem is that sometimes you are not even aware that you got it for the first time.
Yeah.
Because 50 to 75% of the cases go with mild symptoms or asymptomatic. So the only way that people get to know that they had dengue is sometimes by doing routine examinations, and they already test positive for the IgG for dengue, for example. That's how you know that you had it before.
And then when you get it the second time, it comes with all of these horrible symptoms.
You are not prepared for it.
Yes.
Because in your mind you have not experienced dengue before, and now you have to deal with it, and that's the thing.
Doc, here's the thing though. I don't think anyone is prepared for dengue. As much as we all try to be careful and swat mosquitoes if they're around or spray the house or what have you, anything could happen, right? You could be on your way to work and you get pinched by a mosquito, and then there you go.
I was lucky to, sometimes you are going through difficulties in your life, and you don't realize that sometimes these difficulties are preparing you for something bigger in the future.
Yeah.
When I was in training, in residency training, it was around 2009. And I remember that we were dealing with this swine flu.
Yeah.
And we had cases in United States and Mexico, and I was working in the emergency room as a triage doctor whenever they came and told us we have a case arriving from Mexico City by plane with flu symptoms. I was the lucky one to be sent to address the case, and immediately I recognized that it was a new illness, and we had to notify public health, and we started the case for a swine flu, one of the first cases of swine flu in Guatemala. We lost, just in my hospital, like 25 people to the swine flu.
Wow.
And what caught my attention is that most of them were lung patients with respiratory conditions, with chronic illnesses like hypertension, diabetes, or overweight. So that prepared me for what was coming next, the pandemic of COVID-19. Whenever we saw the cases coming, I was able to recognize the pattern, but this one was different because this one would kill the doctors and the nurses.
Yeah.
The swine flu would only affect the patients. But in this one, I had to develop a plan which included a lot of exercise, because I said the only way that I can survive something like this if I get infected is if I am very fit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the graphics that I brought today. It's when you ask what can we do, nobody is prepared to address dengue. Well, there is recent scientific evidence that a person that is fit, that is doing a lot of exercise, can have a natural immunological defense against the dengue virus via the lectin mechanism. So it's always that we always preach you have to eat healthy, you have to exercise, but it's so gratifying to be able to finally be able to put what we preach into practice. If you are fit, if you have a lot of miles of exercise in your legs, and you get to face a condition like this, name it dengue, name it COVID-19, name it sepsis, name it a major road traffic accident, your chances of surviving are higher than if you have not done your personal work. So in regards to dengue, what can we do against such a small vector? Well, we can be as healthy as a horse, or we can be as fit as a horse, and our chances of surviving or passing a mild disease like this will be higher.
But for you, for dengue season, as you call it, for persons that might need to seek treatment and so forth, what can they do?
Well, first of all, you need to act fast. You need the right diagnosis, and after the third day of illness, it is ideal that you do daily evaluations by your healthcare provider, because your healthcare provider will be following the disease course with you. They will be able to identify what your vital signs are, and if you are having signs of symptoms of a complicated dengue infection. This is not only physical examination, we also rely in blood tests like the platelet count, the hematocrit. We also do the liver function tests, so we can understand what is your dengue scenario. I have discovered other conditions by dengue. I have discovered patients that have undiagnosed hepatitis C by being infected by dengue. Yes, because the dengue will bring out whatever liver problems you have hidden, and we will be able to find it because of a severe dengue case for somebody that we are not expecting a severe case like that. So it is very, it's a disease that you need to move, and you need to move fast. Most of the times we try to fix it at home and do our own thing, and with conditions like dengue, like COVID-19, especially when we didn't have the vaccines, or sepsis, the faster you move and the faster you gain control of the infection, the higher your chances of surviving are.
But we have things like malaria pills, and we have vaccines for other diseases? Why don't we have anything for dengue?
Well, we have vaccines for dengue in advanced countries. We have a vaccine called Dembaxia, which is approved by the FDA for kids 9 years to 16 years old. But you must have had dengue already, so you qualify for the vaccine. They have other vaccine in Europe.
But that
and
seems kind of, forgive me, doc, that seems kind of backward, man. Like,
You have to get the disease so that you could get the
catch
vaccine.
it first and then I qualify. Isn't the idea of a vaccine ideally to prevent?
Yes, but if you see the application of this, knowing that the secondary infection is going to be stronger than the primary infection, it goes directly into what we preach, because you already had it, and we are going to give you the vaccine so you don't have a strong secondary
Okay, so if I
infection.
had like an
Makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Seems
so
to
so
be
you
that
need
way.
to do blood tests, and once you can prove that you had dengue already, well, you
qualify
may
for the
be
vaccine.
eligible. But because nobody wants to use the vaccine in the United States, the producer of the vaccine is taking it out of the market now. So
Wow.
Wow.
yes.
Sense on a Belize, man.
Yeah. So we don't have a preventative method in terms of a vaccination here in
No.
this side.
They have it in Europe, in Brazil. What they are working on is working with the vector. They are doing genetically modified mosquitoes
Yes.
that we are trying to kill the offspring of the mosquito.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of work to do in dengue, and unfortunately, as the years go by, we can see more cases of dengue, more cases of dengue. Climate change, we have more heat,
Yes.
we have more population, we have disorganized population growth. So
I mean, you touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about preventative measures, but for our viewers that are watching that, like you said, you know, we're busy living our lives. We don't know that we've been infected with this disease, but what can we do at home to prevent?
well, you have to make sure that you have your windows and your doors with a screen. You need to make sure you don't have standing water in your lot or tires. You need to make sure you have a mosquito repellent.
Yeah.
And somehow some people are more vulnerable to mosquitoes than others. I can see it at home. I don't really have any problem with mosquitoes. I don't know if they don't like me or whatever, but my God.
There's something where it's a matter of perhaps the mosquitoes being able to perceive
Your blood?
something of, like, I say that in a curious way, that because mosquitoes are drawn to some people and they're not drawn to others. So there has to be something in terms of a perception where that is concerned.
Something interesting is alcohol consumption makes you more tasty to mosquitoes.
Interesting.
Wow,
Yes.
all right. Note to self.
Note to self,
Yes.
indeed.
And alcohol consumption is well ingrained in the Belize culture.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that you said, what can we do? How can we prepare? I guess just being a healthy person, try to be as healthy as possible. You have more complications if you're a hypertensive, if you're a diabetic, if you have so many conditions. So don't become a diabetic, don't become a hypertensive. Try to lose your extra pounds that you have. I know it sounds easy. It never gets easier as you age, but there is something called responsible aging that maybe we have to work very hard. So hopefully we can achieve a goal of dying without diabetes, for example.
Well, Doc, if you have any final words when it comes to dengue and what our viewers should be aware of when it comes to this disease, please feel free to share.
Thank you. Yes, in regards to dengue, please be mindful of your symptoms. Visit your healthcare provider and make sure you follow the guidance closely, because one mistake in regards to the treatment or the follow-up of dengue can put you in serious problems and you can end up hospitalized with a severe dengue infection. So it's not to be afraid of dengue, but it's to man up and to be responsible enough to understand that even if you catch it, you have done your part and you are going to do your best.
Well, thank you so much, Doc. And of
you.
course, please come back anytime to discuss any other autoimmune diseases and other infections.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and I must congratulate you for what you do. Is by educating people that we can solve problems.
Yes.
So you are a window through which the different experts come and share their experience that they do every day. So it's very important to continue this dissemination of information,
Indeed.
the right information.
Indeed. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. Stay tuned.